sure everything's working. Do. Yeah, it appears we are good. We are we live? Are we alive? I can't check because OBS will pick up the audio.
I'll check in a second.
But I think we should be good unless OBS is giving me problems, which would not surprise me in the least. All right. So, well,
yeah, we're live.
We'll kick her right off here then. Hello and welcome to Cheat Code Radio. It's a new episode and it's unfiltered. It's raw. It's as raw as an egg at a grocery store. It's live. It's uncut. It's the same show. It's just we're live on a Friday night instead of recording on a Thursday. I don't edit anything out. It's always unfiltered. I'm your host, Nicholas Downey from lordsofgaming.net, and I'm joined by my intrepid fellow, the man with the only Twitter spaces I can tolerate.
That's a very low bar. Like, at least give me a real intro. Where's that Cognito intro?
Sunday at.
I haven't had a good Cognito intro in years. Man, every person needs a Cognito intro just to remind yourself you're worth something.
Yeah, I can agree.
Get you a man who can do that. All right, but yeah, we're Cheat Code Radio. Thanks for guys for tuning in. My name's Ivan Seiler. I'm from Multiverse Show. Coming back next week, and we got some cool stuff lined up for you guys. But we're doing a live show, a little more interesting, so let you guys pour in here, I guess. It's been a weird week, to say the least. I made $3 off of Sony today. Well, yesterday, technically.
Yeah,
I think they didn't do that much in terms of stock market trading. So
no,
I had a couple shares in Sony just because I have some dick around money where it's like if you lose it you lose it, if you don't lose it that's cool. And I put my money in Sony like last week because I knew the event was coming, and I was like, all right, let's see if we can get something out of it. Let me see what up to now. But yeah, I sold like at the first half of the show because I was like, all right, I need some money real quick. And they were doing it conveniently after market close. And I was like, yeah, I need to see this now. Yeah, I made a couple bucks, so it was good.
Hey, can't beat a couple of doll hairs.
Yep. All right. Dude, there's just so much. Have you played Psychonauts yet? Because I haven't talked to you about 2 weeks. So have you played Psychonauts yet?
No, I haven't actually. I am still to this day a fraud.
Dude, I gotta have people to talk about that with. Dude, you gotta hurry up. Like, you gotta play.
It's on my list, honestly.
Dude, you're missing out. Like, that game is so good. Like, 100% it. Like, the only thing I'm kind of iffy about. We're back. We good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, internet dodged out for some reason.
Yeah, no. So the only thing I'm kind of iffy about is like whether or not I'm gonna go for all the figments, because some of these figments are like so well hidden, and it's annoying the crap out of me. Like, But yeah, they did it so good. I know everyone's talked about it to death, but yeah, the game is just so good, dude. You gotta play it.
Yeah, it's on my never-ending list of games that only seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I beat less and less games, so it's hitting critical mass at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll just dive right into it. Obviously, there was some news scattered throughout the week, but let's face it, the big news. Big news is PlayStation. It was a big hype up, big lead up to the event. It was supposed to be big, massive things, being showcased. You know, it was a big deal. Everyone's been hyping it up for the past couple of days. So let's start with the basic question. What was your overall score for the showcase?
All right. So I'm going to tell you my score first, and I'll give you my reasoning behind it.
Okay.
I gave it a 6.5. And I felt like I was being generous. Because when I judge a show, because this was their E3 show. Let's make like this was their high caliber. This is what they were going to try to wow us with.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the stuff they showed at this point is 3 months old. Like, we already know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for me, I don't count third-party things towards the quality of someone's show unless it's something brand new and you get the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. Like, if Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the first time we ever saw a Guardians of the Galaxy game, I'd be like, all right, that counts towards your show because you got to do the reveal.
Right.
You have to have the reveal thing. That counts towards the quality of the announcement. But this is a 40-minute show, and the first thing they showed was a trailer for the PlayStation 5, and that was okay. And it was just kind of like a weird thing to do, I guess. It felt kind of iffy, like they were just trying to like fill some time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It just came off odd. And then it was like the KOTOR remake announced, and that was a big thing. But then after that, it was just like, here's third-party stuff you already know about. Very little surprises, if anything at all. And it was that for 30 minutes. And then like the last 10 minutes, they actually showed all the big stuff we've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay. But my issue was that all the stuff they showed were sequels, with the exception of Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, everything else was stuff we kind of already knew existed or was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got bored with that. Like at least like with the PlayStation 4 era, like they would announce something new, a new first party, something we didn't see coming, and we'd watch it and be like just completely amazed by it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel like this really had any moment like that. Just more kind of like, oh wow, that's cool. And that was kind of it. So I gave it a 6.5. 5 is average. 6.5 strictly because it was like, all right, the KOTOR thing is interesting, even though I don't personally care about it. And a Wolverine game by the same studio as with Insomniac, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's why I gave it a 6.5. Judging it as a presentation, not about the quality of the individual things.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm like I'm gonna give it like a 7.5 for me, because there was a lot of stuff announced there that like I'm really interested in. Like KOTOR remake is 100% I'm there for that. The thing is, and I have to I don't even have to dance around this because I'm very renowned for this. If you're not a Marvel fan, this was boring. Because every big game that they showcased off, except for God of War, which we knew was going to be there, is Marvel.
You got a point. Yeah.
And I'm excited for the Wolverine game, but I am also smart enough to realize that this is the E3 of dreams kind of lineups of stuff we're doing again, where it's like, hey, here's this game you're going to play in 2024, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, it doesn't put a damper on it. Like, it's cool to know they're doing a Wolverine game, and it's going to be, of course, you know, it's going to be this dark narrative based third person, typical adventure, whatever. So like, I understand that's exciting, but if you're not like a huge Marvel fan, this was a pretty average showing. And like God of War, don't get me wrong, God of War looks great. Like, I am 100% behind everything they're doing with that. But it was one of those things we knew it was going to be there.
Yeah. And finally, some representation for big bearded men. Finally. We finally got
Let's
that.
go. But he's fat. He won't be strong enough to punch Kratos.
guys, it's been strong fat guys for a long time. Like, that's a whole thing.
I'm sorry, did anyone look at the mountain in Game of Thrones and went, wow, look how ripped he is? It's just like, whoa, that man's biceps the size of my leg.
Or like Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like there's big guys. We finally get some representation too. So, yeah, what was your score? I'm sorry, I was listening to what you were saying more than what your score.
My score is a 7.5. It was good, but it the wow moment was a CGI announcement for a game we're not going to see for 3 or 4 years.
All right, Pegasus Nation, Jesus, man, like I got like, okay, this is something really dumb. So, for whatever reason, people have been on this whole thing about like CGI trailers are bad, and I'm like, okay, and I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. I think like if it's the first time you're announcing your game, a CGI trailer is fine, especially if it's not coming out within 1 year. Like if it's coming out 2 years from now, a CGI trailer is perfectly fine. Like I think what they did with Outer Worlds 2 was fine. I think what they did with well, I mean, Elder Scrolls shouldn't have been announced that far in advance, but we knew Bethesda was trying to be sold, so it makes sense. Like, they're not trying to show you the game yet. They're more just saying, hey, this is what we're working on. And I think that's fine, but at the same time, I think you should see gameplay. Like, if we're talking about, like, if it's going to come in about a year or so. Like, God of War, I think we should have saw gameplay, and, like, the thing is, it's really hard to judge what's gameplay with that kind of camera angle because that's how the game is the entire time. Yeah. But from what I gather, and I could be wrong, I'm going to make that abundantly clear. I could be wrong, but it looked like it's all the cinematic moments from the game. So for me, it was like, okay, a lot, and it's also too, a lot of the people who have been saying this lately have been more PlayStation-oriented people saying, hey, we don't want to see a Fable announcement with CGI trailer. We want to see gameplay. And Sony just did the same thing. They just showed CGI trailers. So, I mean, to me personally, it's not a big deal. It's more just like, hey, here's announcement confirmation. But it doesn't hit as hard as when you see that gameplay. Like when we saw Horizon Forbidden West and their gameplay, I was like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, no, I very much I'm stupid when it comes to this stuff. I like, if you want to do a reveal trailer with CGI, I'm fine with that. Like, if you want to announce your game, because I think CGI trailers are really great to set a tone of what you're trying to deliver. You know, not necessarily line out what the game's going to be, but it kind of sets the tone. Like, if you watch a Borderlands trailer, you know the tone of Borderlands through that CGI trailer, whether it's an action shot or whatever the case may be. You know the tone of the game through the CGI trailer. Do a CGI trailer, do a gameplay trailer, do a launch trailer. Bada boom, bada bing, ship your game.
Yep.
Because, like, it's hit a point now where I understand we're marketing stuff, but some games don't get enough marketing and some games get too much.
Yeah.
Like, I love Arcane and I love Deathloop, but my God, I do not need to see anything more from this game until it's in my PlayStation 5.
No, okay, I give Deathloop a pass because they're in a weird situation. That game's been delayed a lot. So, I mean, like, they got to keep the hype going behind it, and every time it gets delayed, it's like, all right, we got to keep it going. And, like, I think it's a combination of Sony being in their position where they don't have anything coming out right now, so they're using Deathloop almost exclusively to say, hey, look, we do have games coming out this fall, other than just remasters. So I give them a pass there, because, like, Arcane needs to keep the attention on their game as long as they can, and Sony needs a game right now. So I give Arcane a pass, yes. But, like, okay, I don't need to see another thing from Final Fantasy in forever. I'm good. I don't need to see anything else from them. I don't need to see anything else from Guardians of the Galaxy anymore. Like, they better not show any more of that game.
Okay, you know what? The Guardians of the Galaxy one felt really weird, because I felt like Square showed too much of that during their conference, And then to get more of it, it was like, okay, I get it. You want me to play this, even though I'm definitely not going to.
Yeah, they actually marketed it so much it's turned off on my brain. Before
Yeah.
I was like semi interested, but now I don't want to play it. I've seen too much. I'm good. But yeah, no, I just don't. I'm not into it.
Yeah. I think CGI trailers have always been like this big debate thing. I don't think it's really an issue unless, we're 3 or 4 trailers into your game and you're still using CGI. Then we have a problem.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, it's boring at this point. So let's talk about KOTOR for a minute, because like that's the first thing Sony really kicked off their show with specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And like I like the fact that we're not doing this on Thursday specifically, because we actually get more information out now. And I think that's important, because otherwise we wouldn't have any idea about like what are we looking at here. So they showed off a KOTOR remake, or Knights of the Old Republic, for those of you who are too young to know. It's a very big RPG situation that was originally made by BioWare, that people hold in this high reverence for some reason I will never understand. I don't have a thing in my heart for Star Wars like that, or this game, so call me a heathen. Whatever. But this game is like the holy grail for a lot of people. I know Kal-El, that we know specifically, this is like his game. I know he feels some sort of way about it. The big reveal that everyone got excited about was that Aspyr, which is part of Embracer Group, is the one making the remake for KOTOR. And it's being published by PlayStation.
Yes.
And they're getting an exclusive deal with it. However, the part that everyone seems to be wiping over, and the PlayStation blog confirmed this, that this is a timed console launch exclusive, meaning, for those of you that are not familiar with gaming corporate speak, that it will be available on PC and PlayStation on launch day and eventually come to other platforms later. We don't know how long, but I think the publishing thing is what got people mixed up about, like, oh my god, is it really exclusive forever? Like that's the part people got mixed up about, and I think that's the part that everyone's having an issue with.
You know what's funny though is there's an underlying theme here that I haven't seen anyone really point out, is that everyone seems to have completely glazed over the fact that every PlayStation third-party deal now is day and date on PC. Lately,
that's a good point.
Deathloop, KOTOR now. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII Remake is the big, giant exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that was Square going, if you give us more money, we won't do anything.
Yeah. That could be a part of it, yeah. So I think like the KOTOR thing, like I think it's mostly about getting the most bang for your buck at PlayStation right now. And because I've been having this argument since yesterday about like, well, why didn't Sony lock it down as a complete exclusive? And I'm like, well, why would you? Like, why would you bother getting a remake available on PlayStation and make that a complete lockdown thing? Like, yeah, you're going to get a bunch of people who are really into it and they're going to buy your system, but they probably already have your system anyway. So, I mean, that's cool. But at the same time, like, okay, if you're trying to value your money, would you spend the money on making a full-on exclusive remake or a full-on exclusive new game no one's had before?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you're talking about stories, I mean, a story everyone's already heard before, or at least had the chance to play, it could still play, versus a game no one's played before with a brand new story. I'm gonna take the brand new story, the brand new game.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I think that's smart money on their end. They'll get a little bit of an edge. You get the mind share going. That hey, this is exclusive, and then you're sold from there.
Yeah, I think with KOTOR, It's first of all, it's wild to see a game that was exclusively on Xbox and PC, I believe, be now exclusive on PlayStation and PC. So PC stays winning.
Yep.
But yeah, it was interesting to see people be like, well, why didn't they lock it down as a full exclusive? I think, and I could possibly be wrong on this, but I think developers and publishers are starting to realize paying $500 million for a lifetime exclusivity versus paying, $200 million for 12 months or $100 million for 12 months. You get your money's worth in the first 12 months. This isn't going to be a long game for a lot of games.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's a good point.
Unless it's a service game or something that's gonna have recurring income, your major sales are in that first block. And then the first time it goes on sale, and then it's diminishing returns after that.
Yeah, but if you do the time deal, you could kind of split that a little bit.
Yeah.
So then it's like, all right, so you could do your like, okay, let's say it's a year. Let's say it's a year exclusivity. You have that big bump from PC and PlayStation. And then 1 year from then, when your mind share is basically gone, hey, Xbox, Switch, you guys are getting Knights of the Old Republic. And they're like, oh, yeah. So everyone, you get that big little bump from that. And then like, oh, yeah, it's back in the mind share again. And then maybe people might buy it on the PlayStation. Didn't do it before.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Like, it makes sense to do that.
And I think that's what people are going to have to start dealing with is that the time of third-party lifetime exclusives is slowly drawing to an end.
Yep. We've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, but I think it's finally happening. I still believe wholeheartedly, like, first party is definitely going to stay the way it is right now. Definitely expect to see PlayStation continue to sprinkle their first party into PC, obviously. Nice little bit in there. But I think that's the decision going forward. I like the decision. Like, I full-heartedly understand locking down console exclusives, especially if you have a gap in your first party right now. If you have a gap, fill that gap. I'll never, give... Like, I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but I respect the business hustle behind it. Is, filling in a gap where you need to fill it. But also... 1 year, it's like, what's the big deal? If you don't have both, you can wait. If you have both, you can buy it there. And that's what they're betting on, is that FOMO is a son of a gun. And whether you prefer to play on one system or the other, if you really want to play that game, you'll play it no matter where it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of PC, let's bring that up too. Because I don't know what else we would talk about it. Uncharted Lost Legacy confirmed going to PC. So I think that just confirms to us that they're bringing their games over to PC on a regular basis, and we should be expecting that from now on.
I think the funniest part about that announcement was people saying that they never announced PC ports during one of their PlayStation events, and those would be relegated to blog posts.
Yep.
That's one. And two, it feels really weird to port the fourth game and the standalone game, but not the first three games. So it's like, we're going to dump you in the middle of a content-heavy story. Like, Uncharted 4 was all about looking back, and like you can play it on its own.
Well, I mean, you don't have to play the other games, because honestly, they just rewrote history too much anyway.
Yeah. But
because the Sam doesn't exist in the first three games. They don't hint at him. There's no clues, no anything. They just created this character.
He was a poor substitution for Sully. That's all he was.
Oh my god, I miss Sully.
I love Sully.
Sully was my favorite character from that franchise. I love him. My alter ego, I have you make a fake account, mm-hmm. and you have your alter ego name. My character's name is Sully. So I was like, all right, I love that, but no. All right, 1 second. We actually got one question here. Do you want to answer questions? Or you want to save that for later?
No, sure. Let's throw them in there.
All right, this is I'm not sure what the spelling here, what he's trying to say. It says, do you see Recore? Oh, okay, I see. He's saying this games. Do you see Recore and Rise Set of Rome going to PlayStation now? I feel like anything is possible.
Um.
Why would anybody want those games?
Okay. Hold up. Rise invented the third-person hack and slash genre. First of all, sir, so put some respect on it. Secondly, thank you for giving me the best meme format face in history. That's gonna get some mileage out of that now. And, and three, I agree. I think all holds are off in terms of what to expect anymore. Like anything could happen at this point. Weird stuff has happened, like Bethesda being acquired, things like that. The rule book is out the window, but I don't think that'll affect older games. If there was ever an old Xbox One game that I would see going to PlayStation, would be a remaster of Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, that's possible. I could see something like that.
But like,
you gotta have games actually have mileage to them, like something that's actually gonna be successful. But like, let's be honest here, Rise Set of Rome wasn't that good of a game. It looked amazing. Like it was an okay launch title just to show off the power, but that was it. Like that was the only thing it had going for it. Let's be real here. I mean, I defended Rise as long as I could, but I had to admit faults when that game had faults, and that game had a ton of faults. But like Recore, I mean, Recore was okay.
No, it wasn't.
I just
don't lie to yourself. Recore was bad.
I don't know. For me, it was just that end portion when you get to the tower and they're like, go back and collect those balls. I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to. I'm fine.
You need this many balls to pass. No, I'm good. I'm gonna take my 2 and walk home.
Yeah, that's what I did. I said, no, I'm good. I'm done. Like, I'd like to finish this, but I'm not doing this now. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But like, no, like, I mean, I guess there's some potential in a Recore sequel, I guess, but they're gonna have to heavily retool that thing. But yeah, I don't see Microsoft putting any games, because they own both of those franchises. Like, I don't see them putting any games that weren't great or have sequel potential on PlayStation. I don't see anything like that.
No.
And even then, like, I think nowadays it's just like every game that comes is coming to Game Pass, and that's what they're gonna do from now on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see them making games to do that. Alan Wake was a different story. I guess that's the reason why it's being brought up. This was also that third-party thing from things we already knew were going to happen that
Alan
got
Wake.
leaked well beforehand. Alan Wake remake or remaster, I guess. I think it's more of a remaster.
Yeah.
But, or I guess I wish it was a remake so I can call it the Alan Rewake.
Oh my god.
That would be such a missed opportunity, right?
I'm gonna tweet Sam Lake right now because he's really good about responding to tweets. So.
Yeah, I mean, they called it an Alan Rewake. That would have been so much cooler. Anyway, so I just don't think that, like, the Alan Wake thing was that they didn't own the franchise and they just bought essentially timed exclusivity for it. So it coming to other platforms was not a surprise.
Well, also too, at the end of the day, Alan Wake is a Xbox 360 exclusive. It going to PlayStation now is fine.
Yeah, like, that's 2 gens ago at this point.
Yeah,
so it's like, again, it's one of those things of like, this is so long ago. Do I even care? It's little things like that. Like, it's like, okay, why?
See, we live in a world where we're getting an Alan Wake remaster, and all I want is a Max Payne remake.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get to that one later, Inferno. With the questions there. I'm insulted, Dark Lord. You don't know who this is, so I'm not even gonna answer that. All right, next on to the show. I guess we're just gonna skip over most of the third-party stuff because they showed Forspoken, and I was like, all right, we already saw this before. It looks good, I guess.
Well, see, okay, I'm won over on Forspoken just for the music and the writing alone.
All right.
Just because it's Amy Hennig and Gary Whitta, because Gary Whitta wrote the only good Star Wars movie in the past, 20 years. Rogue One was good. Everything else has been bad.
Oh, wait. We need to go back to Star Wars for a minute, because there's stuff about that KOTOR remake you need to find out about. Put a pin in that. You reminded me of that. So, all right. So here's the thing with KOTOR. This is why, again, one of the reasons why I like waiting till after the fact, because then you find out some details that were missing. So like we mentioned before, Aspire, or part of Embracer Group, is making this game. BioWare has made a statement. Oh, sorry, not BioWare. EA has made a statement about whether or not BioWare is any way involved in the KOTOR remake, and this is the official statement. We are proud of our long-standing collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, which will continue for years to come. Our talented teams have created some of the most successful games in the history of Star Wars franchise, including Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Star Wars The Old Republic, and Star Wars Squadrons. We love Star Wars and look forward to creating more exciting experiences for players to enjoy. So the answer is no. BioWare is not in any way involved in this whatsoever. And modern BioWare not involved sounds okay.
I kind of feel like the market value on the game kind of went up without BioWare being involved. They're like, okay, so it's not being handled by BioWare, so let's put this further up the hype list.
It's like, all right, cool. You would have liked some pedigree there, I guess. Oh yeah, just to see the BioWare name on there a little bit.
Well,
I get it,
but the thing is the studio that's working on KOTOR has a bunch of former BioWare games who actually worked on KOTOR, so it's like I'd rather have those people than the BioWare name, personally.
Yeah. Sorry, my computer was like, hey, let's update. I was like, nope, not right now. All right. So the other thing, too, is one of the lead writers on this is a person named Sam Maggs. We're not like an anti-SJW channel or anything like that, but I'm just going to bring this up just so you have an idea. A lot of anti-SJW people don't like this person. Namely, she would make random tweets about just random stuff. I'm not even going to mention most of it, but I am going to mention the relevant stuff. So Sam Maggs has gone on record not liking KOTOR and just despises it. So which is interesting because now she's working on the KOTOR remake. So it's just weird having someone who doesn't like the franchise and doesn't like the game working on that title. It's a weird thing because then it gives you the idea of are they going to rewrite it? This is a remake, not a remaster, remember? Mm. So are they going to change it? So, just kind of iffy. So this is what they're currently working on, just so you have an idea. So they do have a pedigree. I would say it's not the best pedigree, and there's not really a track record here. What they're really working on right now is they're working on the Knights of the Old Republic remake, Call of Duty Vanguard, Critical Role Origins, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And it's these are games that don't look like they're going to have great stories, but that's to me at least. Anyway, I want to bring that up, and the only reason I even know about this is because I saw a tweet that got deleted, but I got a tweet anyway. That came from, I would say, next to Cal, probably the second biggest KOTOR fanboy I know, Maddie Plays. He said, "I'm not going to debate the beliefs of others. You do you." With that said, any rewrite of KOTOR is scary, and especially from someone proudly preaching their lack of care for the original at one point. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'd be kind of concerned. I mean, this would be the equivalent of like someone who says they hated Fallout New Vegas working on a Fallout New Vegas game, a remake.
Right. So it'd be like letting Doc rewrite Fallout New Vegas.
Jeez. We like Doc though.
Oh no, I'm just saying for argument's sake, you're talking about a game that people love and someone who hates it reworking on it. That's Doc with Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah. Well, I'd let him work on the gunplay. I'd let him work on that. He'd probably make the gunplay infinitely better.
This is true.
Well, I mean, okay, like, Fallout New Vegas' gunplay, which is so much better than 3, but we're talking about, like, someone using a stick to beat up someone and then someone just tying a rock onto the edge of the stick. Like, it's better, but it didn't require that much effort. So, yeah, I just, iffy stuff.
Yeah, on that note, I'll put it into the ether. I actually don't have a problem with people who aren't the biggest fans of source material working on certain game stories and everything else. If you're pushing it forward, so they're like, hey, you did this the last time, this could be done better. Like, new ideas at the table is really important, but when you're working on a remake, understanding what people enjoy about the source material is important, because you can change the source. Look at Resident Evil 2 remake was retooled and changed around a bit and everything else, but ultimately the theme and the story is still intact. So we'll wait and see, because let me tell you, if they do big changes to the story and like rewrite it front to back, you're gonna hear about it.
Oh yeah, people will not live it down. Like, that could easily backfire. So, anyway, what else happened between there? I can't think of anything major. At least not middle 30 minutes where there just wasn't really anything going on.
GTA 5, baby, March 22.
Oh yeah, March 2022. That was surprising because we had talked about this before. We thought it was coming out this year, right?
It was supposed to.
But we talked. Yeah, GTA 5 was supposed to come out this year for the update, and like, yeah, they pushed it off to next year. And like, from everything they showed, like, I didn't see anything new, honestly, other than just like, hey, yeah, it looks better, I guess. Particle effects. be excited.
You know what's absolutely wild to me is you can play GTA 5 on your Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 right now, but they just delayed the game again, essentially, even though it's a goddamn Xbox 360 and PS3 game. Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember last year when people were like, GTA 6 is coming in 2021, man? And I'm like, no, they're still fucking porting GTA 5 to another generation of console. It's so infuriating.
Yeah. All right, so we have another question here. Okay, this is a random question. I have a question. Can you give me a release date on Fable, Elder Scrolls 6, Perfect Dark Zero, Wolfenstein 3, and there's so many others? Do you have the answers? I need release dates. All right, well, Wolfenstein 3, I have no idea. Well, I was gonna tell you now. I thought they were gonna announce that this year.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, that was on my bingo card as a fall surprise release, and I'm just sitting here with egg on my face, like, whoops.
Yeah, no, I don't know if they're gonna do a Wolfenstein 3 anytime soon. I mean, how big are Machine Games? Like, they're not.
Keep talking. Huge, I'll fill you in a sec.
Yeah, I don't think they're like. I want to say they're about 100 people, maybe. This is just me guesstimating. So I think they're fully working on Indiana Jones, and I think they're only doing one thing at a time, and I think that's what their focus is.
Yeah, Machine Games. Oh, that's as of 2013. They're cut. Wow, that's
what's their baseline?
Anywhere from 51 to 200 employees.
Okay. Wow, that's a pretty good range.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like anywhere from 51 to 200 employees, and I'm like, okay, that's. I've dated 2 girls in my life, or I've dated 20.
All right. So I would think. Let's see. Release date on Fable. 23, 24 maybe.
Spring 2024.
Only reason I say that is that's Playground working on it, and if Playground's working on it, that shit's gonna release on time. Like, that's the one thing I've learned. Like that, if it's Playground or Obsidian, they don't play. Like I would say like they have an Insomniac reputation. They get games out on time and under budget. And we'll talk about Insomniac a little later. But because they're quickly becoming that gold standard for production.
Yeah.
But no, so I would say probably 23, 24 for that. Elder Scrolls, I would say I want to play conservative on it. I'm going to say 26. And I'm saying 26 because I'm just like, all right. I don't know. I think it's like Bethesda, as I don't know how they work anymore exactly. It used to be like Bethesda would have 2 different teams and they go back and forth. We're talking about Bethesda Game Studios, by the way. They would have 2 different teams, and like 10% of one team, well, 10% of their staff will be working on Elder Scrolls only, and then 10% of their staff will work on Fallout only, and then they would shift over the other 80% to whatever title they're working on next.
Mm-hmm.
But now they got like 3 different things they're working on. They're working on Fallout, now they're doing Elder Scrolls, and now they're doing Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield. And then they also have like 3 different actual studios now, and I don't know how it works necessarily. So I can't give a hard time. So I'm just gonna assume that they have not started work on it, and they're just waiting for Starfield to go out. Then they goes into full production. And I'm assuming the worst possible dev time length of it being like 4 years. So I don't know. I am always a negative Nancy. I always plan worst case scenario. So I would say 26 at the latest. Sound right?
Yeah, I can't disagree.
So we could be wrong. Could be a lot earlier. Maybe 2024. Who knows? So, but I'm throwing it out there. I always play conservative on that. Perfect Dark. I haven't heard anything about Perfect Dark. You?
Nope.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't even have a guesstimate for that.
Yeah, could come out next week. I don't know. Could be a surprise. Who knows? I think it's everything. What was that? 3, Fable, Elder Scrolls. What, Fable? Wait, we haven't talked about Fable yet. Oh, no, we already did talk about Fable because it's a Playground.
Yeah,
that's everybody. Yep. But yeah, no, that's what I come out with there. All right, back to topic, I guess. Okay, Gran Turismo 7. I showed off that. What was that? Are you being catty with me?
It's a sim racer. I just don't care. It's like people go, "Oh, look at it! Look at the pocket detail in Forza Motorsport." And I'm like, you said Motorsport? I'm okay.
I see Gran Turismo do like an off-road game just to be different.
Yeah, I would love an arcade version of Gran Turismo. Sim racers are so boring to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather play Tiger Woods Golf than play a sim racer.
Yeah. Man, I just sim racing is boring. Like, I think the only part I've ever enjoyed is like doing vinyl stuff. And even then I gotta be like inspired to do something. But no, like it's just like boring. I can't get into it.
Do we
Yeah,
talk?
I mean, I can't think of anything else to talk about with Gran Turismo. That's boring.
You want to dive into the Insomniac stuff now? Then
Sure, let's talk about Insomniac.
you mean
Kick us off, Nick. What do we got?
Well, so basically, if we want to put this into perspective, Insomniac Games is the Mandalorian, and the PlayStation 5 is Grogu right now, because they are carrying this thing to glory currently.
Oh yeah,
Like wholeheartedly, Insomniac Games has released 2 games on PlayStation 5 already. Remastered their 2018 game for PlayStation 5, and then on top of that, revealed Spider-Man 2, as well as Wolverine, which we got to see in the CGI trailer. And keeping in mind, on top of this, they have an unannounced multiplayer project that was leaked via LinkedIn last year.
Insomniac, you gotta stop. You're putting all the rest of the studios to shame. like, okay, again, this is, I haven't said this on this show, but I guess I'll say it. Like, Insomniac has always held like a special place in my heart for 2 reasons. One, Spyro was the first game I ever completed. Like, just completely went through, 100% completed it, loved it. So Spyro holds a special place in my heart, and it will always hold that. And 2, North Carolina, baby, that's where Insomniac's from, man. I can go 30 minutes. They're down the street. I could be in Insomniac in 30, 45 minutes, depending on traffic. I gotta represent some North Carolina love. But no, like, I love Insomniac. They are a great studio. I love their projects that they work on. I will say they have definitely proven to be the best damn studio PlayStation's got. I don't care what you say. They do a wider variety of titles than any other studio. They pump out more games than any other studio, and they don't really piss off people like that.
No.
Like, they don't have to resort to oh yeah, we're gonna do something shocking to get your attention. They just make good games.
Yeah, Insomniac really falls into that whole old school developer mindset of they're like, we're gonna show you stuff, you're gonna love it, and then you're gonna play it, and you're gonna love it, and then we'll make something else for you, and you're gonna love it. And it's just like, it's so incredibly impressive to me just how talented they are, in the fact of, you think how Spider-Man launched, how Miles Morales launched, how Ratchet and Clank launched. These were Spider-Man more than Ratchet and Clank in terms of open world game design. But these games launched, there was nothing wrong with them. They worked front to back. They were fun. There was a story. It wasn't super, well, it was super serious in Miles Morales, but like they do social commentary without it being obnoxious. Like,
they don't have to do anything where it's like, oh yeah, for their reviews, you can't show any more than this sort of thing, and you can't talk about this part of the game. Like, they don't do anything like that.
Nope.
They say, hey, review the game, enjoy yourself.
Yep.
No, I love them for that. Like, they do a good job.
Yeah. And
but okay.
I just don't understand how they have to have some of the best management to get the stuff they do, and just keep motoring away normally.
Or, more reasonably, they only hire Insomniacs.
He's on.
I mean, it's on the name of the building. Makes sense to me.
So what you're saying is people that can't fall asleep go into the building, work game code for 6 hours, and then go to bed, and that's how they constantly keep people working.
Yep.
Interesting.
You go to bed, wake up the next group. No, I think it's just silly. Okay, here's the other thing too. Just for sake of comparison, and strictly just because I feel like causing a little danger today. What's Sony Santa Monica done?
Excuse me, sir.
No. I'm just saying, just pure numbers here. How many games did Sony Santa Monica put out last gen?
One.
How many did Insomniac do?
Last gen?
Well, last gen.
They
We'll
did.
talk about last gen.
They did Ratchet and Clank on PlayStation 4. They did Sunset Overdrive on Xbox. They did Spider-Man. Miles Morales is cross-gen, so you can give them a half point for that if you want to. I don't know. There's more, too, because they released VR games.
Yep. Song of the Deep.
Oh, Song of the Deep, yeah.
Yep. So that's like 4 or 5, like right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I firmly believe that they are teaching everyone a lesson right now, and that they can somehow push out all these games and have good quality and review well, and no one has a problem with it. I look at it as like, okay, Sony Santa Monica spent so much time to push out one game, and did we get a release date for God of War?
No. It was delayed to 2022 a month or two ago, and there was no date on that trailer.
Yep. We're probably looking at holiday 2022, maybe 2023. And they're not running that risk right now. So I look at it as Insomniac is teaching everyone a lesson right now. And I would say Naughty Dog's no longer Sony's golden boy. I think now it's not about artistic quality, it's about production. Can you keep good quality, and can you push out enough games in a certain amount of time?
In a service-focused industry where Xbox Game Pass exists, yeah, the quantity is going to need to become a thing, and I definitely agree with you. Insomniac can deliver quantity and quality. Sony Santa Monica, of course, struggled because they had their sci-fi game. After they did God of War Ascension in 2013, they spent 2 years on that, but that project was scrapped. And, I can't remember, there was like a millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that was lost due to that. That almost led to the closure of the studio. And PlayStation rejected the original pitch for God of War. So, they spent a lot of time muddying around. They made God of War 2018 in about 3 years, so that's not bad. And now, supposedly, they're working on 2 projects, but we haven't seen the one. We don't have a date for God of War, but Insomniac's already like, hey, here's your mid-gen games from us.
No, I think they're proving a point here. And so, I would say, they're not, the only studio that knows how to do production. Like we talked about before, I think, Obsidian's definitely one of them. Obsidian's working on how many projects right now? They had Outer Worlds, Grounded, they're working on Avowed,
What I think that comes from, though, is I think it comes from the fact that Obsidian and Insomniac, up until they were purchased, highly valued their independence. And the only way that you can succeed at being independent is getting projects out the door. Let's face it, the last 2 Obsidian games before acquisition were Kickstartered.
True. Pillars of Eternity.
Yep.
1 and 2.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Is being able to spend 6 years to develop a game is coming from a privileged position. Many developers...
It's like being a salaried employee versus being an hourly employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not many... I don't think there's any indie studios that could function on a 5 or 6 year dev cycle and make money.
They run out of money and die.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. Very good point. But yeah. Wolverine. I would ask. So okay, we talk about Spider-Man first because that's the known quantity we already know about. What do you think about Spider-Man 2? What do you think?
So here's the thing. This felt like a really pointless reveal because at the end of the original Spider-Man, they teased Venom. We saw it. It was teased. We knew it was coming. They showed a CGI trailer where Miles and Peter beat up a random dude, and then they tease Venom. it's stuff we already knew, and it was CGI, so it didn't really give us any new information. And they announced that they're doing Spider-Man 2, which is the most obvious sequel that I can think of. It doesn't mean it's not going to be good. Doesn't mean that, Insomniac's not going to knock it out of the park. It's just not a wow moment for me because it's something we knew about, and it was a minute CGI trailer.
So, okay. The only part that was remotely exciting to me before is who they got to voice Venom. Do you know who they have to voice Venom?
No, I don't actually.
Tony Todd. Do you know who Tony Todd is?
No, I do not.
Tony Todd in particular is known, or is like, are you familiar with Candyman?
Yes.
The horror movie?
Yes.
He's him. He's the Candyman himself.
Oh, okay. I got you.
That's kind of a big deal. That's pretty awesome. I don't know if he's done anything else other than that, at least on top of my head. I know he's in things, but not anything major right now. Let's take a look here. Good old friend IMDb. I know he's in other things, but I want to see anything recently. The answer is no.
So new talent, basically.
Maybe not new talent. I mean, he's in a ton of stuff. He has over 240 acting credits. He's the voice of Darkseid in the new DC universe. He does things.
Okay.
But yeah, he hasn't done anything recently of note.
Okay.
Think of him kind of on par as Clancy Brown, but if Clancy Brown didn't get the Mr. Krabs role.
Okay, I got you.
Where it's oh yeah, you have a nice villain voice. You do horror movies. You're nice. You're cool. But yeah, you still have that breakout role. So
I got you.
So that's the coolest thing to me. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's surprising. Now the Wolverine thing was surprising. Now this game is just starting development, so we're probably not going to see this anytime soon. But it's decent. I thought that was an interesting surprise. I was more just surprised that a Wolverine game is going to exist more than who's making it.
See, it's funny because I always said after watching Logan, I always sat there and went, this is like a PlayStation game as a movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I can see that, yeah.
With Wolverine, it makes sense. He's probably one of the, outside of your main Avengers, is probably one of the bigger names on the Marvel docket in terms of casual audience.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It's just, I'm interested, but it's another one of those things where it's okay, cool. Anything else about it though? Anything? Anything at all? I understand the whole pitch with the claw, how they intro the claw and everything else, and it gets people really excited. But I just don't have the same nostalgia for Marvel that a lot of people do. So I just kind of sat there and was like, oh, cool, a Wolverine game. I wonder what this is going to play like. So I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it. Part of me was is it going to just be Spider-Man with Wolverine, or what's the angle here?
The gameplay won't be drastically different. It's basically Spider-Man minus the walls, the web slinging, pretty much.
So it's just the fun part of Spider-Man.
Okay. I'm gonna let that one slide. But yeah, to answer your question, they actually conducted a poll back in 2020 before the pandemic hit, so convenient. They conducted like an in-person poll in Anaheim, and they actually found out the most popular superheroes. So they were sorry in terms of like most popular and most recognized superheroes, and this is actually new. Spider-Man used to be the most recognizable. Actually, it's Superman now for some reason. God knows why. But Superman's always been like number 2. Like it's surprising why it's going back and forth. So Superman's number 1, then it's Spider-Man, then it is Batman, Captain America, and Iron Man. Those are the top 5.
Why aren't we getting a Captain America game?
They did have a Captain America game. It was terrible. It's Captain America: First Avenger.
Oh no, we don't know.
Movie tie-in game for the age of the Wii. Keep that in mind. It was not good. But no, like the Iron Man game was okay. Not great, but it was okay. Anyway, but yeah, those games. Wolverine, I'm gonna say this. Wolverine is a popular character, but I don't want to play as Wolverine. Like, I like more mobility, and Wolverine's not about mobility. So and also, what are you gonna do with Wolverine? Like, as a concept, like, okay, so if you're playing Wolverine, like, they're always gonna have some like RPG or upgrade elements to it. But what are you gonna do for Wolverine?
Better sneakers, faster pants.
Yeah, I mean. There's options for like, customization stuff, but it's like, okay,
mittens.
But like his powers aren't relegated to anything at all.
Power mittens.
Jeez, I'm just scraping the barrel here. Now, this Wolverine, I don't know what you're gonna do with that in terms of like those elements. Like, I mean, story stuff, yeah, sad dad stories for days. Like there's plenty of things you could do with Wolverine.
See. If you were going to do an MCU game, let's do Deadpool. A good Deadpool game.
I don't know. I mean, everyone's got that character that, like, if they announced that game, like, tomorrow, people would flip out over. Like, everyone's got that character. And, like, I get it. Wolverine is not my character. Spider-Man used to be my character before that happened, but... For me, Fantastic Four. Like, if they show a Fantastic Four game tomorrow, I'm in. I'll buy whatever system it is.
Well, lucky for you, Crystal Dynamics is going to reskin Marvel's Avengers to be a Fantastic Four game.
No, please no.
Upgrade the thing with nanomachines.
Actually, you probably could do that. Not joking.
Yeah, I know.
Like, have you seen the evolved version of the thing?
Yes.
Yeah, there was one where his mutation got worse, and now he has spikes. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm in.
Spiky hands, let's go.
Yep. Give him the old concrete knuckles treatment.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. Is like
or
for
the
me,
brick knuckles. Brick knuckles would have been better.
Ooh,
I messed that one up.
The thing with the Wolverine game is like I want to know how it plays. I want to know like what am I doing with Wolverine? Like how is this gonna work? It's not going to look like the trailer you showed me. Because all that trailer was Marvel geek fan service. Because people are like, look at the license plate. Look at the cash register. And I'm like, oh my god, you nerds are the friggin' worst.
But Insomniac, though, are they really going to go sad dad with this? I mean, there's going to be elements of sad dad. Because that's part of Wolverine's appeal at this point. But, like, what are they going to...
Are they gonna make a goofy Wolverine? Like, are we gonna have like?
Are they gonna do it where like Wolverine just has like a bunch of random like side characters that shows up all the time? Are they just gonna do that the whole time, or is it like where Wolverine is a straight man to everyone else's shit? Is that what they're gonna do the whole game, or is it gonna be like, all right, deep narrative? We're docking.
I really hope, like, I love Insomniac games because there's a charm to them, but of course the IPs they've used have been charming. Like, Spider-Man has that, like, play back and forth, like, you know, the banter with the villains and everything else. So it's always, despite, you know, how dangerous those situations can be and everything else, they still have that banter to kind of balance it out. Wolverine isn't funny. Like I'm not saying it has to be funny or whatever, but like,
straight man, and in pretty much every team up group, like every time he is a straight man, he's not the one cracking jokes. Every so often he'll crack a joke, but that's what makes it funny, is that it's a rare occurrence.
Yeah, like, unless they're gonna put him in a cast with a bunch of different heroes to kind of lighten it, I don't know. And like,
yeah,
you can't retrack anything they did in Logan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do that. You could just say, "Hey, it's Logan."
It's
Logan the game.
I would say that would be that. I would believe it, except it's Insomniac Games, and there's no way they're that lazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you could do the actual Old Man Logan story arc. Are you familiar with the Old Man Logan story arc?
You know I'm not. I do not care about Marvel.
All right, so the Old Man Logan story arc. I actually read the comic before Logan even came out. I didn't even know Logan existed. So the story arc is that it's a world where the superheroes have been tricked. Well, specifically Wolverine got tricked by Mysterio, and he ends up killing all of the X-Men. Yeah, Wolverine kills all the X-Men.
And gets a medal for public service.
Yeah, you wish. But what ends up happening is, like, the world gets divided amongst, like, all the supervillains. Like, Kingpin gets, like, Vegas and a portion of that. Doctor Doom gets a portion. Like, they basically divide up the planet.
Right.
And they get their own spots, and then, like, your discretion is advised. The Hulk doesn't like this for some reason. Kills the Kingpin. I'm pretty sure he kills somebody. He kills the Kingpin and takes over Nevada, and ends up shacking up with his cousin She-Hulk and has inbred children who are Hulk hillbillies who basically threaten and extort people for money, and Logan is one of the people that they extort for money. I'm not even making this up, which is the worst part.
Who wrote this? Are they okay? Do they need a hug?
Oh, dude, like, and then, like, Hawkeye, who only has one arm, shows up in the spider buggy and convinces Logan to go with him to kill somebody. I forgot who they're gonna go kill.
The spider buggy.
Yeah. Well, spider buggy exists. Spider-Man got, like, at one point, Spider-Man got a sponsorship deal where he was supposed to drive the spider buggy. I think we broke him.
This show has been eye-opening.
Yeah, there's a lot of messed up stuff that happened that no one will mention.
All right, so now I need to see Wolverine in the spider buggy fighting Hulk hillbilly inbreds. Thank you for setting that expectation. I never knew I needed that in a game, but now here we are. Yeah, it's for me, like, to roll it back to Wolverine. It's just, it's not enough for me to get excited. I'm excited because it's an Insomniac Games superhero game. But it's like, is it going to play like Spider-Man then? Or like, what's it going to be like? I just have more questions than I have answers. And that doesn't necessarily make me excited. I don't know, everyone's going to be like, well, you're excited for Starfield and all you've seen is a CGI trailer. Shut up. All I gotta say.
I'm sending you pictures of both of those things. Oh yeah, and I forgot that the Hulk, the bastard Hulk children, are all riding the Fantastic Four Fantastic Car. through the Nevada desert, by the way.
What?
There
Alright.
you go.
No. What?
And one's an emo goth kid. Yeah, so fun stuff there. All right,
I give up.
Wolverine is just weird, but all right, moving on through that. God of War. Let's talk about your baby for a minute. I thought God of War looked like a PS4 game.
It does.
Yeah, it doesn't even look remotely close. I thought GTA 5 looked more next gen than that.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, I looked at it, I'm like, I don't see anything my PS4 can't handle.
Well, good, because it's going to be on your PlayStation 4.
Yeah, but I thought that was supposed to be a PS5 game, Nick.
No, it's not.
What?
And they were.
It's supposed to be coming for PS5.
Yeah,
they
it
told
is
us.
coming to PS5. I have PlayStation 4.
Why would they show us the PS4 version instead of the PS5 version?
Well, no, they didn't. No, see, Jim Ryan told me in total confidence that there would be no PlayStation.
Jim Ryan's competence, sir.
That there would be no PlayStation 4 games anymore, and that we believe in generations. So why is there going to be a PlayStation 4 game released in the late 2022 and early 2023? Anyways, that stuff aside, obviously this game would have been better if it had been PlayStation 5 only. Period. End of story. It should not have had a PlayStation 4 version. But what I imagine happened is they got 3/4 of the way through, pandemic hit, slowed down production, and they went, well, we have this version here anyway, so we might as well.
Yeah.
But that aside, I'm excited for the story beats they're going after here. They're really hinting at some cool mythology-based stuff. I'm here for that. I'm here for, Thor looking like me after a Saturday night of too many beers.
Ready to fight.
Yeah, just throw hands. Let's go. And, I think the discourse around Thor has made me so much happier. Because I've really weeded out all the people I know that only know Thor from the MCU movies.
Yeah. No, I will admit, a lot of people, it's not even just the MCU movies. Thor, in popular culture, was basically the Marvel version of it for so long. Because remember, when we were kids, Norse mythology was, random. And, out of nowhere. We didn't hear about Norse mythology. We had to, go out and look for it.
See,
it wasn't a regularly available thing.
Yeah, no, I'm the polar opposite because of my Irish heritage. My mom was super into Norse mythology. I was my mom would read me Norse myth tales to bed when I was 3 years old.
Yeah, that's not normal. I'm gonna tell you, that's not normal.
So for me, it was cool to see them kind of harken back to a mythological representation of Thor, because Thor isn't this perfect god that does what's just and right. He's a drunken, brutish asshole.
And the whole thing about his hammer about being, you can't lift it if you're not worthy, that's just a Marvel thing.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Yeah,
that's why I'm okay, everyone's is Kratos gonna be worthy and pick up his hammer? I'm oh God.
Yeah. But
it's even this Thor is not worthy to hold the hammer.
While I enjoy the harken back to the more mythological standard of what he did, because I think that's what I loved about God of War 2018 is the stranger, for a lack of a Baldur, was a scrawny, peckish, exactly as he was in Norse mythology. He was a crybaby, essentially. He was a mama's boy, and they perfectly encapsulate that. And I see people being wow, Kratos is gonna lap this Thor, and I'm sitting there going, he couldn't fight the 5'2" Norse version of Conor McGregor, and you think he's going to He's gonna just like flatten. Okay.
He was having trouble with that. I get the feeling, as is me, like I've played the game, I know the shit, I know all this stuff.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that this is a lead-up game where it's kind of like where like God of War 2, where it's like, hey, we have a story, but we're gonna build up and then leave you on the precipice again, where things start getting good. But I get the feeling that this is gonna be worse in that regard, where it's just gonna be like, hey, just as a reminder, we're gonna build you up to this. Like we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna be moving up slowly. We're gonna rescue Tyr, and then the game's gonna be over. I feel like that's what it's gonna be. Nick, are you dead? Nick?
So I'm just reading something. I'm trying to make sure I present this in a factual presentation.
This is not a factual show, sir. This is all about opinions.
So supposedly, everyone assumed that God of War would be another trilogy.
Yeah.
Based on 2018, and then they figured this would be a trilogy. But the God of War team confirmed that Ragnarok will live up to its name by actually depicting Ragnarok itself, which is what people thought the second game, this game was going to be the lead up to Ragnarok, and then the third game would be the consequences and the fighting of Ragnarok. So the current speculation is that this is going to end the Norse saga. I don't see it.
Like a conclusion of a Norse saga. This feels like build up. That's what it feels like.
Like, I feel like wholeheartedly how I think this game is going to go, because they're teasing like a romantic interest of Loki. So, how I think this is going to go.
Besides a horse?
What's that? Yeah, besides a horse.
Besides a horse?
Yes. God, I really hope they get into some of the weird, wacky Atreus stuff later in the game.
That's what I'm hoping for. That we need a awakening of a bisexual character right now.
But how I think this game's going to play is you're going to play, Atreus and Kratos. You're going to be dealing with Freya, who wants to kill you for killing her son. You're going to have to deal with Thor being a dickhead, because that's what Thor does. And it's going to culminate in a fight where Atreus will be wounded, Kratos will die, and it's going to set up a revenge storyline for the next God of War game. Because the God of War team...
Is it where Atreus is going to be riding his lover into battle?
Can we just not talk about the weird Loki shit? Like, I'm pretty sure there's something about when Scotty was going to be forced into marriage, he wanted to cheer her up, so he like strapped his balls to the head of a goat or something. I can't remember. There's something to do with his testicles being attached to something. Loki does some really weird stuff. Loki is like the Johnny Knoxville of Norse mythology, basically. But what I think is going to happen is Ragnarok's going to kick off, and they're going to cliffhanger the game as Loki kicks off Ragnarok.
Yeah. Like, I definitely get, like, all right, someone big is going to die, and I definitely get that vibe from it. And it's like, all right, Kratos is going to die, and I feel like they're setting up Tyr to be the new guy, but I don't know. That might just be me.
Their depiction of Tyr is really, really interesting, and I'm kind of interested to see the direction they're going to go with it.
Yeah. So, but no, like I really enjoy talking about Norse mythology. But like I said, for us, it was like growing up and going to school and stuff. They only talk about like Greek mythology. They may mention some Roman shit, but that's kind of it. They don't get any more detail than that. But well, like Norse felt like it was a special thing, and so it just a lot of people don't get to see that because they weren't exposed to it.
Yeah, no. Norse mythology is very Greek and Roman mythology can kind of sidle along with a lot of Western religion. Obviously, as it sits right now, it doesn't. It's like one of those things you look back on, you're like, it's fine. It's old ways of thinking. Da da da. It doesn't affect our modern religious mindset. Norse mythology is much more deep seated and ugly because their gods were a lot more human than they were gods. They were, they made mistakes. They,
And power levels, really, I think, is the major difference. Like, I mean, Greek gods in particular, they had their own, they were human. Like, they messed up a lot and had arguments and were petty. But I think the major difference is, with Norse gods, it's more, hey, these are just beings who have a lot more power than you and I do. And they're just kind of embodying certain things, whatever it is. Like, they have, 4 different gods of war, technically.
Yeah.
Freya's a god of war, Thor's a god of war, Tyr's supposed to be the god of war, Baldur's technically a god of war. They have a lot of things. They're more just extra titles.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I don't know what else to talk about. I think we got through everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any final thoughts, I guess?
I don't know. I think it was a good showing. We didn't see a lot of stuff a lot of people were predicting, which is fine. I threw a bunch of stuff into the ether that didn't happen, and that's fine. I think what they showed was good. We have a better idea of what they're kind of cooking with going forward to an extent. I'm really interested to see what they talk about next, games-wise, what the next step is for them. But like with Xbox, we'll just have to wait and see.
Say probably expect some Xbox news next week. Makes sense to me. They basically let PlayStation have a whole big week to themselves, and yeah.
I wouldn't expect any Xbox news till Tokyo Game Show or after. Personally,
did they say they were going to Tokyo Game Show?
Yeah, they have a presentation, I believe.
Oh damn! Huh.
Yeah, Xbox is at Tokyo Game Show, and I think PlayStation isn't or something. I saw someone making a big deal out of it.
I know PlayStation's not, so it wouldn't make sense for PlayStation to do Tokyo Game Show now.
No.
So, all right. Let's do our outro poll while we're here. So let me pull up that one real quick. So, outro. What did you guys think of the PlayStation event? A, certified banger. B, it was okay. Or C, I'd rather play on Stadia. We'll be posting this one on the Cheat Code Radio Twitter account, exactly like you heard it, Cheat Code Radio. And we'll get things going for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning up. Thanks guys for showing up. We had a pretty good live grouping here.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And, maybe we'll do a one-off live show every so often when something big happens. And
sure,
we'll make a party out of it. But appreciate everyone that tuned in. Appreciate anyone who subscribed, likes the video, shares it with your friends. It's hard to stand out in the podcast space these days. Everybody got a podcast, so we appreciate our viewers.
Everyone's got a PlayStation therapy space.
I need someone.
I'm not gonna let people live that down.
I need someone to make a Weird Al cover of the NF song Therapy Sessions, but change it to Therapy Spaces. I need somebody to do that. If anyone has the musical know-how that listens to that show, do that for me.
James has musical know-how. We'll let him do it.
All right, cool. Definitely let the ginger British kid do the rap remix. Let's go. Let's do it. Do it. So we'll do outros here. So Ivan, if people want to find you, where they can find it, yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Multiverse Show. We're getting started back up with a Multiverse Show on YouTube. So we got a lot of good things coming for you guys. Don't worry about it. We got some cool shit. We're also getting started with a couple of Twitter Spaces. Just on occasion, just pop in every so often. Other than that, you can find me on Xbox and PlayStation and everything else at Anchorman V2. And yeah, that's me.
Absolutely. And I am Nicholas Downey. You can find my written work at lordsofgaming.net. And of course, you can find my video work and my other podcast on YouTube at The Gaming Perspective. And you can also find this podcast on demand on Spotify and your MP3 audio choice of preference. So we will see you guys next Friday, usual 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time recorded episode. Hopefully we'll have some good stuff to talk about, and if we don't, we'll just meander and blander and make our way through it. So see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great night.